Show you this, and then we can get to work. So there's two things in here. There are mallets and there are hammers. Mallets move metal, but they don't mark it. Rawhide or plastic. Hammers mark metal, and every hammer in here makes a different mark. So when you're doing a textured hammered pattern, just experiment. This obviously is going to make little lines, right? This obviously is going to make little dimples, like on the golf ball. Okay. When it comes to talking about hammers, there are these nice hammers, and then there are utility hammers. The nice hammers are for hitting nice metals, like sterling silver, or copper, or gold. Nice, things you think of as nice metal. Utility hammers are for hitting steel. So, these will make marks. If you want to go out and get the texture on the sidewalk onto your piece of copper, use a utility hammer. Okay, don't take one of these nice ones out there and do that. These are also for hitting. I said they're for hitting steel. So if you want to use these stamps to make marks on your metal, you would use a utility hammer, because it's hitting steel. This is hitting your copper, but this is hitting steel, okay? So nice hammers, utility hammers. These are anywhere from $25 to $75. Some of them over in that locked cabinet are $125. So treat nice hammers nicely, please. Okay. All right, so while we're talking about stamps, there. Let's go back over to the table. We'll look at how these work. Let's carry these. Russell, carry those. We'll try to pick them all up. I'm just thinking. Okay. So, so my piece of metal was bowed, and I flattened it out with a mallet. And if I flatten it out with a mallet, I make no marks, and I don't harden it beyond what happened in there. If I start banging on it with a steel hammer, that's going to harden it more. Okay? It is hardened somewhat by going through the rolling mill, but metal on metal is going to harden it more. Okay, so just for fun, you can start with a clean blank that you've annealed for hammering and stamping, or you can work on one that you've textured. But basically, that kind of hammer is going to make those kind of marks. When you are hammering and stamping on things, think about things like visual movement and density. You might have a whole lot going on over here, and not so much moving up this way, as far as your marks go. So think in terms kind of design, movement, variety, repetition of some things. That hammer, I could kind of repeat this woven burlap pattern with this hammer if I wanted to. So those are nice hammers. They make nice marks. You can also make marks with the stamps. And these stamps, several of them have these goofy little kind of pictorial elements on them, acorns, thunderbirds, and things like that. which I would suggest you don't try to make little pictures. Just don't look, you know, we're just looking for design elements and an interesting composition. So, for instance, on this one, yes, they used the stamp with the Thunderbird on it, but it's not just like a flying Thunderbird. And you know, they've repeated it enough times that it becomes just a visual pattern. But it has nice unity in this composition because they printed a feather embossed a feather on there, and then they have the Thunderbird with it. So you get the connection there. And this is an acorn. I will use it, and it is a steel stamp. So I'm going to use a utility hammer, and I'm not going to hit my thumb. So that's how those are used. There are things in here like a snake, a little smiling snake, which is kind of silly. But, you know, if you use the snake in a repeated pattern, he ceases becoming a snake and just becomes a linear design element, right? So, you know, and also, bless you, there are letter stamps. And letter stamps, you know, I would suggest that you not write out words and phrases like, I love you, or whatever it is. You know, but use them, again, as visual texture. Which one? Oh, this has, you know, little H's floating around in it. If you were creating maybe an octopus sort of image, and you wanted some kind of visual texture around the outside, and you wanted to use the O, you know, then you've got octopus O, but you're not writing out octopus. And besides, the O's might look like bubbles or whatever. But so use them creatively. Let's put it that way. I did have a student who wrote out an entire poem about the Rorschach ink block. I think I showed you that cuff where there was kind of a positive and negative cuff, and you know, so she used these to write out that poem on that piece of jewelry, which was pretty interesting, but it worked with the whole concept of the ink blot. So just use them thoughtfully or very randomly, you know, just as texture. So steel, utility hammer. Okay, when you have created where's the negative? When you have created your stamped piece with the hammers and the stamps, you can take another blank that's annealed, put it on there, roll it through the rolling mill, and what you get is the negative you made and a positive of the same thing, which is really, except it goes this way, which is really kind of nice, you know? You got the negative and the positive. So once I hammered on this piece, it became hardened. Then I took another annealed piece, I put them together, put them through the rolling mill, and you get a reverse mirror image. Okay? That's just another option. Saying that's what's happened here. Okay, any questions about all of that? That's a lot. Okay, so, you know, I have one more thing to show you, but let's start with this and start annealing. Experiment. I'm here, ask me questions, but, you know.